My next upload for this evening is with regard to an unusual circumstance that I would be curious to know the empathy of other women in an objective manner, comprehending my present circumstances. The situations I've relayed are all factual. Human rights abuses are occurring in a small-knit community of guilty culprits that have harmed immeasurably my only son. They have also, as I've mentioned, all of the matters mentioned in my previous uploads. I would just be curious for women, intelligent women, to empathize with my circumstances with regard to how these present circumstances appear or how they represent reality and standards in reality. I'm curious about the educated opinion of individuals that are aware of frauds that are causing a lot of problems, that aren't adhering to policies and procedures, that have made false assertions, false assumptions, that have caused bodily harm to an innocent child, that have obstructed justice, etc., etc., etc. I'm particularly interested in knowing the opinion of women in recovery. As a recovery advocate and as a sane and sober individual suffering from medical negligence, I'm wondering about the standards of women and their opinion in this kind of a situation and what is considered acceptable and unacceptable. Personally, this is the most unusual circumstance. There have been individuals that have been morbid enough to assist a fraud with regard to identity theft. Ancestral records, royal ancestral records, have been imposed upon. My ancestral records have been imposed upon, and I have made this known to the relevant individuals, establishments and agencies, and there hasn't been anything done about it. Neither has there been anything done about my son. And neither has there been anything done about the individuals on my marital property and that are disrespecting my matrimony. So I'm really curious with regard to all women's opinions about the morbidity and the insane situation that's being caused with regard to individuals helping themselves to my property and wealth and my beautiful child. And I'm wondering, would they be as amused if it was happening to their sons? I'm wondering, would they be as amused if it was their homes that were being trespassed upon and their profession and purpose being disrupted by incompetent imposters? I'm just highly curious. So today I've shared quite a lot, and it's with regard to injustice, discrimination and equality, and it's with regard to very serious theft. So this issue of fraud and people falsifying their origins, and women in particularly, I'm really surprised that there would be any assistance or support to any such occurrence against women's rights and children's rights. So anyone in recovery of sanity and sobriety, aware of the facts and the reality and aware of the illegalities, I'm just wondering about the level of empathy And I'm wondering about the level of professionalism and authenticity, and the level of professionalism. Because as a teacher with a clean track record that's experiencing slander and very dangerous illegalities, I'm just wondering about the caliber and standard these days. And what does that say when ancestry, very old ancestry, is being imposed upon by cheap means, cheap tactics, cheap play, cheap talk? As a recovery advocate, I'm an authentic individual, and my bloodline is authentically royal, and I have authentically helped and assisted many on recovery roads and in education. So I'm just really concerned about being spat in the face and disrespected by the most ill means and matters of individuals that have no entitlement to what they're helping themselves to. And I'm wondering about their IQ and their intelligence, their emotional intelligence. And I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm a qualified, educated individual, and there's a lot of smart other individuals out there. And the amount of nonsense I have had to tolerate with illegalities, slander, and people skipping steps in the process, I find it astonishing. So in the background, there's a picture of my son, legally a missing person. We have not been provided with the protection that the relevant agencies are obligated to fulfill. Instead, there was a lot of harm caused to my son and I that is quite shocking in a modern day democracy, and I'm highly concerned. I'm highly concerned about how any individuals could be sitting comfortably in this situation with the level of offence and outrageous, disgraceful, disrespectful, discourteous procedures that have occurred. So there's the issue of whistleblower protection laws, there's international protection laws, and there's royal patronage entitlements, and there's also the issue of other more serious matters that have not been respected. The government that I contacted in 2017, I'm still waiting in 2021, and I'm just hoping that there is some shred of integrity in the guilty culprits that have been faceless and shameless and reckless when publicising, monopolising and trespassing onto a royal angelic light worker, a universal light worker. I'm a universal light worker, and my light body has been damaged, and my precious child was damaged as well. 2017 and 2018. Traumatised. And there's repeat offenders in my midst, and they're not adhering to the Constitution, and that's really offensive. And there's the issue of all the human rights that I'm experiencing violations of as well. So those that have slandered my good name and disrespected a sacred purpose, my purpose is sacred, and I have helped many along the way. It's astonishing that any women or gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, would be so thoughtless and so superficial and so careless with women and children's rights. So for recovery advocates worldwide, it's www, it's worldwide, and I hope that sanity and sobriety will be able to empathise with the horrendous insanity that I'm confronted with by superficial imposters and frauds of disinformation and just outrageous offences. So that's Mrs. Maria McElligott from Tralee, County Kerry, experiencing very dangerous offences and still wondering where my missing child is, and having to constantly share throughout the day due to fraudulence in my proximity and offences being exacerbated.